Namaskar, dear devotees and friends. This evening we will be studying the Ramayana. Basically, I am reading this Ramayana for the devotees of Trinidad and Tobago, but at the same time, you too can listen to it. So, it is a wonderful story, and through the story we come to know about our history, and at the same time we learn spirituality, how a human society is progressing, and how each and every individual, men and women, they are contributing into it. So, we will go through that. Let us recite this, and after that we will start reading the Ramayana. Yan maya vashavarti visham akhilam brahmadi deva sura yat sattvad amrishaiva bhati sakalam rajyo yatha he brahmaha yat pada plabamiba bhatihi bhavambodhesti tirshabatam bandhoham tamashesha karanaparam ramakhyam isham harim. I salute the Supreme Lord Hari, known as Rama, the cause transcending all relative causes, whose mysterious power controls all being in the world, including Brahma, Devas and Asuras, whose substance gives reality to all things, as the rope does to the snake appearing on it, the feet alone before a spiritual aspirant, as a boat for crossing the ocean of samsara. So, this is the ultimate thing for our spiritual life, crossing the samsara. So, when we are crossing the samsara, when we are trying to go beyond the circle of birth and death, the samsara means that which is constantly changing. And obviously, when we are trying to accept these things as the reality, so naturally, if we love that, if we like to come to that, and obviously it will be the same result, we will have to come again and again. So, that is the main reason it says like that. Now, this is the Ramayana, the Lord Ramachandra, who is the Vishnu himself. He has taken the human form and he is behaving just as if he is a human, and all these things are happening in his life. He has lost his own the kingdom because of something that we know, we have already studied that, and he has come in exile in a forest with his wife and brother. But one thing that we can notice all the time, that he is always happy. Even there he is happy. Now and then, sometimes as the human life, sometimes you will be feeling frustrated, sometimes you will be commenting, but otherwise he is really very happy. This happiness, this contentment, whether in the palace, whether in the jungle, whether people when they are loving or not, all the time I am contented. That is the goal of spiritual life. And secondly, when the Rama willingly gave up the kingdom, which is his father wanted to give it to him, but the Rama refused. Why? The father promised to his mother, the second mother, the third mother, Kaikeyi, that whatever she will ask, that will be given to her, and accordingly that he has to keep. Now he is not willing though. But Sri Rama, who was the embodiment of the dharma, the righteousness, he said, no, you have to. That means we learn keeping the promise is religion. So what is religion? Whatever we promises and whenever we give the word, we must be very careful to keep that. That is the human religion. Now, understanding the form decision of Sri Rama, we are now starting this is October 2021 study. Before that, we have already studied that the Bharata was a great character. He simply got the kingdom, but just like Sri Rama, his own brother, he also was not at all interested in these worldly things. Rather, he was so virtuous that he wanted to keep the promise of his father, the wish of his father, that Rama should be the king. So Bharata came all the way to the jungle, inquiring from the Rishis, and he ultimately reached to Sri Ramachandra. Both the brothers met, and Bharata, as a Kshatriya, was going on pursuing Sri Rama that he should go back. And Rama again, like a Kshatriya, to keep the promise, was saying, I cannot go, I should not go, like that. When both the brothers were arguing like that, ultimately the Bharata said, I am going to kill myself through fasting. I won't take any food. I will sit before your cottage and I will give up my life. Then Sri Ramachandra, very wonderfully, he said, this is not the way the Kshatriya behave. These are not the Kshatriya's way of dealing. The Kshatriyas, whatever they want to get, they get with force, but not by this way. These are the Brahmanas. Those who are humble, they never take up the arms. So they should behave like this, not like you. You should not do that. You are a Kshatriya. So from this point, we are beginning understanding the form decision of Sri Rama, sage Vashishta, then Vamadeva and Jabali advised Bharata not to pursue any more. So they are, because the Jabali also, I am not reading that particular part. The Jabali also tried to pursue Sri Rama, argued with him. Ram became very angry. And he was telling Rama, in this life, we do not know what we are going to get in the after death. It is better whatever we have got, we should enjoy. Like that, the Rama became very angry. Then the Vashishta pacified him. I am not reading that particular part, it is not necessary. Then the Vashishta pacified, and he said, Rama, don't think the Jabali don't know about the scripture. He is just trying to pursue you. But we are all very happy that as a perfect righteous person, you are trying to keep up your word. Now they advised the Bharata also. Then the Bharata said, O Arya, now take off from your feet those sandals. I shall dedicate the kingdom to these sandals for 14 years and look after the kingdom on your behalf, living in the outskirts of the city. The Bharata's character is unique. He was not to blame because he never wanted. And he was so much ashamed of the behavior of his mother. The mother wanted, naturally the mother, every mother they want, her son should be. So the Kaikeyi also did the same thing. But the Bharata, he never wanted that. That is the unique way, that this is the way they are behaving. Bharata was also the part of the Vishnu. We may remember that when they got the porridge and the Dasharatha gave that, distributed that to among his 3 wives. So all they are the part of the Lord Vishnu, and major part was given to the Rama's mother. So the Rama, then the Bharata, then and the twin brother Lakshmana and Shatrughna. These four brothers, they were all the part of that same Lord Vishnu. So obviously that righteousness was there, but as they have taken the human form and they are playing different characters, beautifully they have played their own role very nicely. Shatrughna we find very less. Maybe afterwards when we're discussing about the Shatrughna character, we will understand the contribution of Shatrughna and how he was. Now here the Bharata, the great soul, he said, "O Rama, suppose you are not coming. In that case, please give that, so your sandals, I will keep that on the throne and will rule the country on your behalf for 14 years. As the Rama was keeping the words of his father, similarly the Bharata was also keeping the wish of his father. Sri Rama was formed to keep the promises of his father Dasharatha. The brother Bharata also was formed to keep the wish of his father. Dasharatha promised to give the queen Kaikeyi whatever she wanted, and Sri Rama was eager to keep those words. Those who have read the Ramayana, and most of us, we know that. And this is the unique thing, that how a human character should be built. So why we read Ramayana? To learn. What we are learning? That a son should be always standing for the promises of his father. His father promised, though afterwards he regretted, but it doesn't matter. The son said, I am ready to sacrifice. This is the beauty of the dharma. Then here the Rama. But at the same time we find the father, he wanted, 100% he wanted, and he wanted to see the Rama as the next king. Bharata understood that, Bharata knew that, and that's why the Bharata, he wanted to fulfill that. Both the brother, the Sri Rama and Bharata, both are trying to keep their character. Both the Rama and Bharata was successful in that way. After then Rama agreed, and Rama gave the sandal to Bharata. And there is a wonderful description. And then Bharata kept that sandal in a very costly casket, and then kept on the elephant that the king is supposed to ride. And then through procession, they all went back. After the Bharata left, the Rama felt that because the Bharata came with thousands of people, the soldiers and so many, the whole area has become dirty, because they are living over there, so who will clean that? So if we stay over here, there are some chances that slowly, because we won't be able to clean that so much, it will be difficult for us. So they shifted from that place. He got ready to leave that place. He then went to the hermitage of sage Atri and his wife, virtuous Anushuva. Friends, this is the Sri Ramachandra, when he is traveling in the deep forest. He is not only meeting the different type of animals and some type of tribal people, ferocious people, but at the same time very wonderful Rishis, very exalted characteristics of the Rishis and their wives. So this we can notice, that it is a jungle, but at the same time it was not, as we always think, that only the animals are there. The Rishis used to live by the side of the river, and they used to have their own students, and the other Rishis with their family. So it's a group of, like a neighborhood, like a village. So he went to that particular sage Atri. And Atri, the very famous sage, but his wife was known, very famous for her austerity, and her name was Anushuva. Anushuva had great psychic power. She saved the dwellers in 10 years' drought with the food and water. When there was a drought and the people were dying, then this lady sage, because of her power, then she brought the rain. Not only that, she diverted the course of the river and brought over there, and the people were saved. So that is the power she was having. So we find over here, just as if as a comment, the Ramayana, the mentioning that the women sages, they were also having a lot of power. That means at that time, the women were also practicing spiritual austerities to get the spiritual truth, to understand the spiritual truth, to get the realization of the Brahman. So that was equal. Not only the main rishis, women were also there similarly. Sometimes in the modern times, when we are criticizing, sometimes some people, they will be criticizing that women are not allowed over here, and they will be quoting the Manu Maharaj, the lawmaker of the Hindu society, that he is not giving the proper opportunity for the women and all that. I think we should try to understand in a different way, because the Ramayana and Mahabharata are not the epic, not the storybook. They are the histories. The histories that is giving us the picture of the society. So when we are reading the Sri Rama, he is traveling, and when he entered, there are people in the jungle, different type of people. That means a lot of jungles were there, because the humans, the number was less, the population was less, the mostly jungles. And he is traveling from one place to another place where some inhabitants are there. Now he is entering into another place where the Rishi Atri was there. They used to set up their own. There should be a river, drinking water should be there, a lot of fruit bearing trees should be there. Those are the places they used to choose, so that most of the time they could dedicate their mind for research. In those days, there was not as external, the researches were over. So the internal, and for the internal, it is lot of meditation was necessary, quietness was necessary, assessment of one's own mind was necessary. So they used to live in that way. At the same time, we don't find the monks. They were all married people. So this is the monkhood. Afterwards, much afterwards it came. Why? The population was less. So that is the reason they always used to say that you must have to marry and you should live. But when they are living over there, the both husband and the wife, the Rishi Atri and his wife Anushuva, they were practicing, and Rishi Atri is praising his wife, saying, "She's a wonderful lady, O Rama. You better send Sita to her to get her blessings." So they are going over there. The life of the rishis and the people were saved by this Anushuva. This way, the rishi, to save the wife from the widowhood, there's another incident that the rishi Atri is telling to Rama. She saved thousands of people from that condition, the drought, just by praying. She is having so much of psychic power. Rishi himself could do it, but they never wanted to waste their power. Because when you are utilizing the psychic power, you are wasting your spiritual power also. But this lady saint, she was so motherly, she never bothered about her own spiritual realization. The spiritual power that she was having, she dedicated that for the service of the humanity. So her husband praising her. Then afterwards, he is mentioning another incident. There was a sage, Mandavya. He became angry with the wife of another sage. We can understand they used to live in the side by side. This sage became angry. Now we can ask why a sage should become angry. So it is natural, the human way. So when they were living side by side, something happened, this person became angry, and they always had that type of power, the psychic power. Anyone who is trying to control the mind, trying to meditate, they generate that type of power. But using those powers for the punishment of others or causing the pain for others, by that way you always minus your that power. So obviously this sage, the Mandavya, he did a bad thing. He cursed another lady, the wife of another sage, that you will become widow, that means your husband will die, in the next morning. Evening was approaching, and he cursed, so the next morning your husband will die. That lady came to Anushua and prayed to her for her help. And Anushua said, the night will never come to an end. So days together, there was only night. So you can imagine the tremendous power that she was having. The sage Atri is mentioning about it because so that they will understand, though very simple looking, and as because she used to do a tremendous penance, her body emaciated, outwardly she was looking very terrible, but she was having the great mind, very compassionate mind, and tremendous psychic spiritual power. So here we find, when that lady, she went and prayed for, immediately the Anushua told, okay, when the morning will come, then only your husband will die. The morning will never come. So when it was continuously 10 nights passed in that way, then that sage Mandavya understood and he withdrew, and that was, the problem was solved. The curse was withdrawn, and that because the next morning he was supposed to die, that never happened. The curse, the power of the curse, it was lost. So this is the incident that happened. Friends, now we like to understand one thing, not in the present day and afterwards, when the Sri Ramachandra came, it was Satya Yuga was ending almost, and Trita Yuga began. So Satya, in the Trita, we find a transition period. As I am reading, I am noticing the transition. What is that transition? There was in the Trita Yuga, at the time of Bhagavan Sri Rama, it is a transition, a period for the Indian womanhood. As if from the Anushua, who was a Brahmavadini, that means she was the realizer of the Brahman, knower of Brahman, but at the same time, she is now meeting Janaki, the gentle Sita, the wife of Sri Rama. The wife of Atri, Anushua, was Brahmavadini. Wife of Sri Rama, Sita, is a Pativrata. This Pativrata dharma, this is really unique. how it is the transition is coming. When the women, they were needed to practice spirituality, to understand the truth, that Brahman, and then manifest and to develop the human society on the line of that, it was the women also took part along with the men. There is no discrimination. This we must have to understand. In the Hindu society, when the society is developing, religion is developing, in the beginning we must understand that there was no creator of Hinduism. There was none that someone came and dictated that these are the things you must follow and this is your religion. No. In many of the religions we know the founders are there and they have given a set of do's and don'ts and the people are following that, that is their religion. But for the Hinduism, who is the creator? Sri Ramachandra? No. He was born in a Hindu family and we are reading the Ramayana. We know how he is growing up. Before him there was his gurus were there. So they were the guides. They are helping. So naturally Hinduism was already there. The Rama didn't do that. Krishna of course didn't do that. Then who created Hinduism? The Hinduism developed through research. And this research was done by both men and women. They were equally important in that time. It is called Satya Yuga. The majority of the people, they are very truthful. Majority of the people who was dedicated to find out the truth, and their lives were wonderful. Of course, bad people were there, the good and bad, but the world means the mixture of good and bad. They always say, Satya anrite, Satya anrite, mithuni kritve, this world has been created. So Satya, the truth, which is eternal, and the untruth, which is temporary, mixing these two as if the world has been created. So this is the way it goes, and here we will discuss about the one particular point where the transition is coming. At the time of Sri Ramachandra, this is the Trita Yuga, the human population grew up and it was necessary for individual, the families were necessary. So in the family again, the homemaker was also necessary. So now the women and the responsibilities are being shifted. From the meeting of the sage Atri's wife Anushuva, who was famous for her severe penances, Ugra Tapa, that they used to call her Ugra Tapa. Tapa means the austerity, tapasya, and Ugra means severe. So he used to control his mind, he used to practice in hours after hours. So that is Ugra Tapa. And the spiritual power is the wife of, and now she is meeting the wife of Sri Rama, simple Sita. We know the Sita's life, and in this particular part at the end, these two ladies sitting together and Anushuva asking Sita, please tell me about your life. And Sita, very simply she is telling, I don't know who is my father and mother. And one king who was making the field plain to arrange a yajna, he found me. He is the king of Mithila. His name is Janaka. See, he accepted me. The moment he picked up from there, immediately he heard a voice from the heaven telling, this is your daughter, take care of her. So from then onwards, Janaka and his wife, they became my father and mother, and I grew up over there. I had a beautiful sister too, and then the Janaka received a bow from the Varuna. Varuna gave it to another sage, sage gave it to Janaka, And that was so hard. Even the very powerful person also could not use that bow and that arrow. And the father then promised, whoever will be able to break this bow, I will give my daughter to him. So then the Ramachandra came with his guru Vashishta and his brother Lakshmana, and just at ease the Rama took up that, which was not possible for so many kings and other princes. That Rama did that at ease. He broke that bow, and the father was very happy. Then the Dasharatha came and we are married. So this is the life of the Sita, all of us we know. And Anushua, she was telling this is unique. And this Anushua presented her as some of the things, very divine things, and told you should always look very pretty, very attractive. So Anushua herself is practicing severe austerity. But now she is asking Sita, so even in the jungle, you should wear this type of dress and this type of jewelries and use this type of cosmetics. And she presented the divine things to the Sita. Sita was hesitant, but no, you must follow Sri Rama. We will come to that. Now in Satya Yuga, women along with men, they plunged in severe practices to find the ultimate truth, Brahman. Society honored them as Brahmavadini. And we know, and if you read the history of the Indian women, there's beautiful books are also there. And so many Brahmavadinis are there. Even at the age of the Upanishad, we find them. The Upanishad means where the revelations of these knowledges are recorded. There also we find the great sages like Jaggabalka. They are challenged. Jaggabalka was challenged by the lady saints and sages. So that was always there. Now the transition is coming. From the Brahmavadini in the Trita Yuga, the human family that should grow, so Pratibrata Sahadarbini. Patibrata, that means the brata. Brata means the vows of the pati, the husband. Whatever the husband has taken the vow, the promises, the responsibility, the lady will help him to follow that, to perform that. And Sahadarbini, and always cooperate with the husband to practice we may translate it as the dharma, his duties. That means a man has been given the duties to perform outside in the society, different type of things like the plowing the field and raising the animals, and sometimes going to the war to protect the society, so many things, and raising the family, looking after the kids and the children, and the wife will support the husband. So that was the responsibility shifting to them. So this is the very, very important thing to notice, that in one time when the women were equal, at the second time they are supporting, helping the husbands, the males, to start the families. So the human society become a very good society, and in that the part of the women is very, very important. So Patibrata Sahadharmini, wife stood firm with the husband to develop the family, supporting him in his duties and responsibilities. Friends, this we notice that the transition from Brahmavadini to Patibrata Sahadharmini. Now here comes the conversation. I quote from the Ramayana. In the conversation where it says, the Janaki, the daughter of the king Janaka, Lady sage Anushua said, O Janaki, you know what is righteousness. You have followed Sri Rama, your husband, in exile, willfully giving up wealth and comfort. She is appreciating. Now, because of this new type of responsibilities are coming, that she is appreciating that. And she is encouraging her because she was having so much of spiritual power, and the Janaki, the Sita, may think, why I am following my husband in this way? Why not practice spirituality? I too can achieve the spiritual power like the Anushua. But instead, Anushua, in encouraging the Sita that you should follow Sri Rama, and look, by following the Rama, you have done the right thing. When Anushua, a Brahma Badini, a Nuara Brahman, she is encouraging Sita in this way, so obviously we can understand they were also wanted. It is not somebody forced them to practice it. It is the women who understood that it is now time to develop the family. Wife who loves her husband and always be with him attains great spiritual bliss. This is Anushwa is telling to Sita. A wife of noble character acquire the same merits as one acquire by spiritual austerity and penances. So this is the way beautifully the transition is coming. Now, friends, many of you know that Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna mentioned the story while conversing with the devotees, and that is at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, and he mentioned that a Brahmana monk and a homemaker. The monk was there and in the forest, and he was practicing austerity, and after a long period of time, when he thought that, okay, now I have practiced austerity for many years, let me go back to the society and then teach them the spirituality. He was sitting, he was happy with his practices. Now suddenly a bird, she dropped something on him, and then this sage became very angry, the monk became very angry, and angrily he looked at the bird, and the bird burnt then and there. That moment it was burnt. Then the monk was very happy, and understanding that I have acquired this type of power to burn just by looking angrily. So he came to the village. In the first house he stood for the food, and he prayed for that food. As usually the monks, Hindu monks, they say, Bhagavati Bhiksham Dehi. The Bhiksha means give me some alms, I like to eat. So that in India, again now I am talking about a monk who is not having any family. So that monkhood, it was introduced much afterwards. It's not Rishihood, it's not Munihood, it's the monkhood. And they are not married, they are not having the family, and no one. So this Shankaracharya appreciated, and afterwards it became a part in the life of spiritual life of the Hindus. Now this monk, when he came, and they were allowed to beg, except the monks and the mendicants, no one were allowed to beg. Everyone should earn the livelihood, the bread, and that monk, when they are coming, that was a very respectable thing, and the householders are supposed to help them, support them, feed them. By that way, whatever the good thing, spiritual thing that the monk has done, a part of it will go to the householder. So that is the way it is again in the Niti Shastra and our spiritual books, that they say in that way. So the householders, they used to feed them. Now the lady from inside, she told the monk, sir, please wait for some time because I am very busy, and I will give you the food after I complete my duties. My husband is going out, my father-in-law is also here, I have to serve him, children are also going to their schools. So let me complete all this, then when I will be free, I will give you food. Then the monk, he sat there outside, and none of them sees each other. The monk was thinking, look at this lady. She is thinking that she can do all these things and asking me to wait. Well, I will wait, but she doesn't know me. If I get angry, I become angry, whole family will be burned. He was thinking. Immediately that lady from inside said, we are not birds, that you will burn us just with your angry glances. Then this time it was the monk who was surprised, and he started thinking, oh my God, I didn't express this in words. I was just thinking, and how could she understand this? How could she know it? That means she can read the minds. Not only that, the incident that happened inside the jungle, that I burnt a bird with my angry look, that also she knows. That means she is highly spiritual. So with great humbleness, the monk waited for her to come out. When she came out to give the alms, then the monk said, Mother, can you please tell me what type of spiritual practices that you have performed, so you have got that much power to understand the thoughts of other people, including the incidents that happened in the life of that person? Then the lady said, here, this is very important, she said, I only followed my pativrata dharma. He said, oh holy sir, I don't know what is spiritual practice, but I willingly, lovingly served my family because I am a wife. So I am, whatever the responsibility has been given to me and expected from me, I am performing that without any attachment, without any eagerness to be appreciated by someone else, by somebody. So that is the way, just by doing that, as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, whatever the responsibilities, I perform that, and by that way, I have grown that spiritual power. Can you imagine? So that is the transition period. The women, they were also encouraged to, that same power you will get. The spiritual austerities. Now again, we will read that part when the Anushua was telling that a wife of noble character acquired the same merits as one acquired by spiritual austerity and penance. So now we can understand how the things are, they are being encouraged, the women are being encouraged to. Why? Because the society, human society, required that. Sita then gently replied, O worshipful lady, I know that husband is always an object of respect to the wife. My mother-in-law, because Sita was not having the mother, but the foster mother taught her also, but the mother-in-law, Honorable Kaushalya, also taught me, giving the example of Savitri, Rohini and other foremost of women. Now the Savitri, Rohini, these are the different stories are also there. How these ladies, just by performing the pativrata dharma, by serving the family, the husband, and cooperating with the husband, they also acquired the great spiritual power. So these are the things. Then the mothers and the mother-in-laws, they were teaching their daughters and daughter-in-laws. So slowly, slowly in the whole society, that was the main thing for the women it became. Now we may recapitulate a conversation that Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna had with Ma Sarada. The many of you have read the biography of Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna or the biography of Mahasarathamani Devi. Now I would say, if you have not, please go through these books. There is a beautiful book, The Life of Mahasarathamani Devi by Swami Gambhiranandaji. It is in English, it is available, and if you read, you will find the how again another transition is coming at this age. Now Satya Yuga is over. Trita Yuga and Dwapara Yuga, Pativrata Dharma and Sahadharmini, that was performed by the women. Now another Yuga has come, though it is apparently, they say this is Kali Yuga, but Swami Vivekananda declared from the day Sri Ramakrishna appeared, again the Satya Yuga is coming. And in the Satya Yuga, again the women will be Brahmavadinis. Again they will be realizing the truth. And that transformation we find in the life of Mahasarathamani Devi. This is also very important. So let me tell you that what happened. Mahasarathamani Devi, she was almost 22 years junior than the Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. In those days, in our society, that was acceptable. And Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, though he was a ascetic, he was constantly engaged in spiritual life. Days and nights used to pass by practicing spirituality. And on the bank of the Ganga, he used to lie down and cry. Whole night he used to meditate. And all the days he used to go and pray to the Mother, Divine Mother, Goddess Kali. So his time was spent in that way. And it was unthinkable the person can 24 hours every moment he is praying to God and crying for God and the God's realization. The people thought he has gone insane, he is not normal. So naturally they thought if he is married, then because of the pressure and the family, the responsibility, he will behave like other people. So he used to worship in the Kali temple of Dakshineshwar, and the landlord used to pay 80 rupee in those days as a salary. He was the main priest in the Kali temple. So that was here. Now for the marriage, when he went to his village, that is Kamarpukur, his mother and elder brother wanted to get that, but there was no match. Then ultimately Sri Ramakrishna himself said, you better go to the next village, Jairambati, and there was a Mukherjee, the family, the Brahmin family is there, you will find the daughter over there. So that means the God has come with his own power, and this time that power, Shakti, became the Mother Sharada. The little girl was married, and in those marriage means the giving the word and exchanging the what's called this, sometimes in the modern times as they exchange the rings, like that ceremony. After that, the young girl went back to her parents, and Sri Ramakrishna came back to Dakshineshwar. When mother attained 18 years, then she came to Dakshineshwar, because that was the age the girls are supposed to come. Now here, this is very important point that I like to tell you. She was waiting and waiting and waiting to come to her husband right from the 6 years to 18 years. And she knew this is the time I have to be with my parents. And she used to help the parents. So by that way she was performing her daughter's dharma as a Kanya dharma. As a daughter, whatever way she could help her father or mother, looking after the younger brothers and sisters. Everything she did. At the age of 18, when she was ready to come to her husband, then there was a gossip. The people started telling, though we are so sorry, the Sarada has married a madman. Because his behavior, Sri Ramakrishna's behavior, 24 hours a person is crying for God, that is not normal. We don't see that regularly. So obviously the ordinary people, they couldn't understand so they thought, oh, Sri Ramakrishna has gone mad. And Sri Ramakrishna, and that was in the society, people started talking about that, and that gossip was very strong. Mother came to know, many of them they used to tell. But mother, once she commented, Mahasarathamani Devi commented, well, when I met that person, he was so courteous and gentle, and how come suddenly he has become mad? Now second, she said, even he has become mad, as a wife, I must go to him because this is the right time to support him, help him and serve him. So Pativrata Dharma. So she was very much aware about the Pativrata Dharma, Sahadharmini Dharma. So she came to Dakshineshwar. She was helping Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, and she used to serve some food and cleaning the room and whatever the way it was possible. Now one day, I will conclude with this, the Sri Ramakrishna asked the mother, have you come to drag me down to this samsara? And mother replied, Mahasarathamani Devi, she was not educated, she never attended school. But immediately she said, oh no, I have come to support you in your spiritual pursuit. I have come to support you, help you in your spiritual pursuit. So that gives that she became the bridge between the Brahmavadini concept of the women, and now after all this Trita and Dwapara, again the new Satya Yuga is coming. Now the ladies, the girls, the women, they will again engage themselves for the spiritual realization. A time was there when even in the Hindu society, some people used to denounce that the women should not read books. That was one. Second, they should not come and help in the worship. They will do the other things, but the worship should be done by the male. We all know this. This is a wrong conception. But the mother, Mahasarathamani Devi, at the dawn of the new Satya Yuga, she is telling, I have come to help you. And to whom she is telling? To Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna. You can imagine, then afterwards in her own life she became the spiritual leader. She started giving the initiation, and by that way she is now a bridge between the Brahmavadini and Pativrata Sahadharmini. She is a Sahadharmini, she is Pativrata, at the same time Brahmavadini. Swami Vivekananda said, centering round the Mahasarathamani Devi, once again the Gargi, Maitri and the great spiritual power will come up, and we will see that. And when we look at these highly educated girls and ladies, they are now joining the Sarada mission, and they are becoming nuns, and they are practicing spirituality, the excellent realizations. There are beautiful lives are there, very exalted lives. That shows once again the Brahmavadini concept is coming, dawning on the women folk. At the same time, the Pativrata Dharma. So this we are learning from the Ramayana, that a transition is coming. Now, dear devotees, next month we will travel with Sri Rama and he will be meeting different type of the problems in the jungle, and we will hear how the Ma Sita, because of her heart, the women heart, the lady heart, motherly heart, she is trying to give advice to Sri Rama, and Sri Rama, the God himself, again giving her the clear understanding of religion. So in the next month. So today we conclude over here by saying Shanti 3 times. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Let there be peace, peace, peace everywhere.